Samuel's hands hurt. He had been scrubbing the same spot on the ballroom floor for 10 minutes, trying to make it shine like glass. His knees pressed against the cold marble, and his old cleaning gloves felt sticky with soap. Above him, the biggest, brightest chandelier he had ever seen hung from the ceiling like a million tiny stars trapped in glass. The light bounced off everything. The golden walls, the silk curtains, even the shiny buttons on the rich people's fancy clothes. "Mama says to be invisible," Samuel whispered to himself. "Don't look up. Don't make noise. Just clean and disappear." But tonight, being invisible felt impossible. Music floated through the air from a small band in the corner. Ladies in colorful dresses that looked like wrapped candy spun across the floor. Men in black suits with bow ties laughed loud laughs that echoed off the walls. Everyone seemed so happy, so bright, so different from Samuel and his mother. Samuel's mother worked here too. She was a maid, just like Samuel was learning to be. Every day after school, he came to help her clean the fancy Riverside Hotel. They needed the money. His mother worked 2 jobs just to pay for their tiny apartment and his school books. "Stay quiet, baby," his mother always said. "These people don't see us." And that's safer. Samuel understood what she meant. When rich people didn't notice you, they couldn't hurt you with their words or their stares. But tonight was different. Well, what do we have here?" The voice cut through the music, like a knife through butter. Samuel's stomach dropped. He knew that tone, the one that meant trouble. He looked up slowly. A tall woman stood in front of him. She wore a dress so blue it looked like the ocean, and her blonde hair was pulled back tight against her head. Diamonds sparkled on her neck, her ears, her wrists. She looked down at Samuel the way someone might look at a bug on the sidewalk, with disgust and amusement mixed together. "Eleanor, look at this," the woman called to her friends. "There's a little boy scrubbing our floors." How adorable! Other guests started gathering around. Samuel felt his face grow hot. His heart pounded so hard he could hear in his ears. "Stand up, child," the woman commanded. Samuel's legs shook as he stood. His old sneakers squeaked against the wet floor. His cleaning uniform, a gray shirt and pants his mother had sewn patches on, suddenly felt even shabbier than usual. Soap suds dripped from his gloves onto the perfect floor. "How old are you?" the woman asked, tilted her head like she was studying a strange animal at the zoo. 10, ma'am," Samuel said quietly, remembering his manners. 10. The woman laughed, and her friends laughed too. And already working like a little servant. How tragic. Samuel wanted to tell her that work wasn't tragic, that his mother taught him that honest work was noble, that helping his family made him feel grown up and important. But the word stuck in his throat like peanut butter. "Victoria, don't be cruel," another woman said, but she was smiling too. "Cruel? I'm being generous." Victoria, the woman in blue, turned to face the growing crowd of guests. "In fact, I have a wonderful idea." She walked toward the corner of the ballroom where a massive piano sat. It was the most beautiful thing Samuel had ever seen, black and shiny as a beetle's back, with white and black keys that looked like teeth smiling in the light. Victoria ran her hand along the piano's edge like she was petting a cat. "This piano cost more money than most people earn in 10 years, she announced proudly. It was made by hand in Austria. Only the finest musicians play it. Samuel didn't understand where this was going, but his stomach felt tight with worry. Victoria's eyes locked onto his. They sparkled with something mean, something that made Samuel want to run away and hide. "Here's my offer, little boy," she said, her voice sweet like poison candy. "If you can play this piano, really play it, not just bang on the keys like a monkey, I'll adopt you. I'll take you away from all this scrubbing and cleaning. You'll live in my mansion, wear nice clothes, eat fancy food every single day." The crowd gasped and whispered. Some people laughed. Others looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. "Victoria, this is absurd," someone muttered. "It's a game." Victoria insisted, spreading her arms wide. "A test. Let's see if this little janitor's son has any hidden talents. Come on, boy. Show us what you've got." Samuel's mouth went dry. His hands trembled inside his wet gloves. Every eye in that golden ballroom was now staring at him, waiting judging, laughing. He thought about his mother's words. Be invisible. But there was no disappearing now. The piano waited across the room, gleaming under the chandelier's light, looking like a beautiful trap. Samuel's feet felt frozen to the floor. The piano seemed a million miles away, even though it was only across the room. Go on, boy, Victoria said, waving her hand like she was shooing away a fly. Or are you too scared? Maybe you know you can't do it. The crowd laughed again. Samuel heard someone whisper, Poor thing probably doesn't even know what a piano is. But they were wrong. Samuel knew exactly what a piano was. His legs started moving one step at a time. His wet shoes squeaked with each step. Squeak, 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 like a mouse crossing the ballroom. The sound made people giggle. As he walked, a memory bloomed in his mind like a flower opening in spring. He was 6 years old again, holding his mother's hand as they walked past an old building with broken windows. Music had floated out through the cracks. The most beautiful sound Samuel had ever heard. What's that, Mama? He had asked. That's a piano, baby, she had answered, and her voice sounded different, sad and happy at the same time. I used to play when I was young. Samuel had stopped walking. You did? His mother had nodded, her eyes looking far away at something Samuel couldn't see. Before your grandmother got sick, before we lost everything, I played every single day. My teacher said I had gifted hands. Can you teach me? Samuel had begged. His mother had smiled, but tears filled her eyes. We don't have a piano, Samuel, and lessons cost money we don't have. But Samuel wouldn't let it go. For weeks he asked and asked. Finally, his mother found a way. She took him to an old community center on Saturday mornings. The piano there had chipped keys and made funny sounds. But Samuel didn't care. For 1 hour each week, his mother taught him everything she remembered. Music tells stories without words, she would say, guiding his small fingers across the keys. When you play, you speak from your heart. You make people feel things they forgot they could feel. Samuel practiced on that broken piano for 4 years. He practiced on paper keyboards his mother drew for him. He practiced in his mind, his fingers moving in the air while he rode the bus to school. His mother never had money for real lessons or a real piano, but she gave him something better. She gave him music that lived inside him, music that was his own special language. Now, standing in front of this expensive Austrian piano, Samuel felt his mother's lessons glowing warm in his chest. He reached the piano bench and stopped. It was made of soft leather and looked brand new. Samuel's dirty work pants would probably leave marks on it. This should be entertaining, Victoria said to her friends. Watch him bang away like a toddler. Samuel's hands were still inside the wet, soapy gloves. Slowly, carefully, he pulled them off, first the right hand, then the left. His bare hands were small and dark against the piano's shiny black surface. They were wrinkled from the soaked water and had a small scar on one knuckle from when he'd helped his mother move a heavy bucket last week. These were not the hands Victoria expected. Not soft and clean and perfect. These were working hands. Helper hands. Hands that knew how to scrub and carry and fix things. But they were also hands that knew music. Samuel sat down on the bench. It was so comfortable compared to the hard floor where he'd been kneeling. He looked at the keys, perfect white and black, not chipped or yellow like the community center piano. They seemed to glow under the chandelier light. His heart hammered in his chest. His throat felt tight. What if he messed up? What if his fingers didn't remember? What if Victoria was right, and he really was just a silly boy who should stick to scrubbing floors? Then he remembered his mother's voice. Music tells stories without words. Samuel closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He let his fingers rest gently on the keys. They were cool and smooth, like touching silk. The ballroom had gone completely quiet. No more laughing. No more whispers. Everyone waited to hear him fail. Samuel thought about his mother working in the kitchen somewhere in this huge building. He thought about how tired she looked every night. He thought about the way she still smiled at him even when her feet hurt and her back ached. He thought about Saturday mornings and the broken piano and the magic she had shared with him. Then Samuel began to play. The first note rang out clear and pure, like a bell in the morning. Then another, and another. His fingers moved across the keys like they were dancing, like they knew exactly where to go. The melody started soft and gentle, like rain beginning to fall. It was a song his mother had taught him, a lullaby she said her own mother had sung to her when she was small. Samuel's hands moved faster now, more confident. The music grew louder, fuller, richer. His left hand played deep notes that rumbled like thunder, while his right hand played high notes that sparkled like stars. He forgot about Victoria. He forgot about the crowd. He forgot about his dirty uniform and his sore knees and his wet shoes. There was only the music. The melody twisted and turned, telling a story without words, a story about a mother and son, about hard work and hope, about finding beauty even when life was difficult. Samuel's fingers flew across the keys, pressing and lifting, creating sound that filled the entire golden room. Behind his closed eyes, Samuel saw colors, blues and purples and golds swirling together like paint in water. He felt the music in his chest, in his bones, in every part of him. The ballroom chandelier seemed to shine brighter. The music bounced off the walls and wrapped around everyone standing there, pulling them into Samuel's story. When he played a sad part, the notes fell like tears. When he played a hopeful part, the notes lifted like birds taking flight. His hands knew exactly what to do, exactly how to make the piano sing. Time disappeared. Samuel didn't know if he'd been playing for 2 minutes or 20. All he knew was the music pouring out of him like water from a fountain, like light from the sun. Finally, gently, softly, he played the last notes. They hung in the air like dewdrops on a spider's web, shimmering and delicate. Then silence. Samuel opened his eyes and lifted his hands from the keys. He turned around slowly to face the crowd. Every single person in that ballroom was staring at him with their mouths open. Victoria's face had gone pale. Her eyes were wide with shock. Some people had tears running down their cheeks. Others looked like they'd just seen something magical and couldn't quite believe it was real. Nobody was laughing now. The silence stretched like a rubber band pulled tight, ready to snap. Samuel sat on the piano bench, his small hands resting in his lap. His heart still raced from the music, from pouring everything he felt into those keys. Then someone in the back started clapping. Slowly at first, clap, clap, clap. Then another person joined in. And another. Soon the entire ballroom thundered with applause. But Samuel wasn't looking at them anymore. His eyes had found the doorway, where his mother stood frozen, her hand covering her mouth. She wore her plain-made uniform, the same gray dress as his work clothes. Her eyes were huge with fear and shock. In her hand, she held a serving tray that trembled and shook. "Samuel!" she cried out, and the sound cut through the applause like scissors through paper. She dropped the tray with a crash that made everyone jump. Silver spoons and fancy napkins scattered across the floor. But she didn't care. She ran toward her son, her shoes slapping against the marble. "I'm so sorry," his mother said breathlessly as she reached him. She pulled Samuel off the piano bench and held him tight against her chest. "I'm so sorry. Please don't hurt my baby. He's just a child. He didn't mean any harm." Her voice cracked with tears. Samuel felt her shaking. "Mama, it's okay," Samuel whispered. "I am okay." But his mother kept talking to the crowd, her words tumbling out fast and desperate. "He works hard. He's a good boy. We need this job. Please don't fire us. Please. I'll clean up the mess. I'll... Wait." Victoria's voice stopped everyone cold. She stepped forward, her blue dress swishing, her face still pale with shock. "That wasn't just banging keys," Victoria said slowly, like she couldn't quite believe her own words. That was real music." "Of course it was real music," said an older man with a gray beard. Samuel recognized him. He was Mr. Chun, a music teacher who sometimes came to the hotel for fancy parties. That boy just played a complicated classical piece. Perfectly, with feeling and skill I rarely see in students twice his age. The crowd murmured in agreement. People nodded their heads. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Victoria asked, and this time her voice didn't sound mean. She sounded genuinely confused, like her brain couldn't solve a puzzle. Samuel felt his mother's arms tighten around him protectively, but he found his voice small but steady. "My mama taught me," Samuel said clearly, "every Saturday morning at the community center. She used to play when she was young, before life got hard. She gave me her gift." His mother looked down at him with tears streaming down her face. Pride and sadness mixed together in her eyes. "He practiced on broken pianos and paper drawings," his mother said softly. "He never complained. Not once. Music is in his blood, just like it's in mine. We might not have money or fancy clothes, but we have this. We have each other. And we have music that no one can take away." The ballroom had gone completely quiet again. But this time it was a different kind of quiet. Thoughtful, respectful, ashamed. A woman in a red dress stepped forward. "I judged you," she said to Samuel's mother. "I saw your uniform and I thought I knew who you were. But I was wrong. We were all wrong," Mr. Chin added. "Talent doesn't care about money or fancy addresses. It grows wherever it's watered with love and dedication." Victoria stood very still. Her face had changed. The mean spark in her eyes had dimmed. She looked smaller somehow, even though she was still tall and covered in diamonds. "I made you a promise," Victoria said quietly. "I said I would adopt you if you could play." Samuel felt his mother stiffen. Her arms became like iron bars around him. "No," his mother said firmly. "You made that promise as a joke, as a game to embarrass us. But my son is not a prize to be won or a toy to be adopted. He already has a home. He has me, and I have him. We might be poor, but we are rich in love. That's worth more than all your diamonds and fancy pianos." Samuel nodded against his mother's chest. "I don't want to live in a mansion," he said. "I want to stay with Mama. She's my home." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back quickly. "You're right," she whispered. "I was cruel. I was showing off my friends, making fun of someone I thought couldn't fight back. But you fought back with beauty. You fought back with truth. And you won." She reached into her purse and pulled out a card. With shaking hands, she offered it to Samuel's mother. "This is my business card," Victoria said. "I know a woman who runs a music school downtown. A real school with scholarship programs for talented children. Please let me call her. Let me help make up for what I did tonight. Your son deserves real lessons, real opportunities." Samuel's mother stared at the card for a long moment. Samuel could feel her heartbeat against his cheek. Fast, uncertain, hopeful. "Why?" his mother finally asked. "Why would you help us now?" "Because your son reminded me of something I forgot," Victoria said softly. "He reminded me that people are more than what they appear to be. That kindness matters more than wealth. That talent and love can exist anywhere, even in the hands of a 10-year-old boy scrubbing floors." Samuel's mother took the card slowly. She looked at it, then at Victoria, then down at Samuel. "We'll think about it," she said carefully. "But we're not charity cases. Samuel will earn any opportunity he gets with his own skill and hard work." "I know he will," Victoria said. "I heard him play." The crowd started clapping again, but this time it felt different, warmer, more real. Mr. Chin came over and shook Samuel's hand like he was a grown-up. "Young man, you have extraordinary talent. Don't let anyone ever make you feel small again." Samuel nodded, his chest swelling with pride, as the crowd slowly returned to their party. Samuel and his mother walked toward the exit together. His mother held his hand tightly, and Samuel carried his cleaning gloves in his other hand. At the doorway, Samuel looked back one more time. The beautiful piano sat there gleaming under the chandelier, waiting for the next person brave enough to make it sing. Samuel smiled. He had been invisible before tonight. But now, people would remember him. Not as a janitor's son, but as Samuel, the boy who spoke through music when words weren't enough. "I'm proud of you, baby," his mother whispered as they stepped into a quiet hallway. "I learned from the best, Mama," Samuel whispered back. Outside, the night air was cool and fresh. The stars above them sparkled just like the chandelier inside, but somehow they seemed more beautiful, more real, more honest, more theirs. Samuel's hands still tingled from the piano keys. His heart still hummed with the music he played. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this was just the beginning of his story. Because talent, when mixed with courage and love, can change everything. Even in a golden ballroom full of strangers, one small boy with working hands had proven that your worth isn't measured by your clothes or your job or the amount of money in your pocket. Your worth is measured by what lives in your heart and what you're brave enough to share with the world. Did this story touch your heart? Samuel's journey reminds us that everyone deserves dignity and respect, regardless of their circumstances. If this story moved you, please like this video to help others discover it. Share it with someone who needs to remember their own worth today. And subscribe for more inspiring stories about courage, kindness, and the power of believing in yourself. Because everyone has a gift waiting to be discovered, just like Samuel's music. What hidden talents are you brave enough to share? Tell us in the comments below.